Good morning, everybody. Today is actually going to be a fairly short live. I promise I will come back and show you some really cool variations on this pattern. Either later on today or sometime in the next couple days, and I'll leave the video up. I overbooked myself a little bit today, and I know that in my newsletter I had mentioned that I have a class that I am actually taking myself this morning. So what I didn't keep in mind is that I have some other classes this afternoon, so I didn't have a ton of time to allocate for this, but I still wanted to do this. This is actually my pattern. It's called BrrrSt, and it is one of my absolute favorite ones to draw. I'm going to give it just a minute to let a couple people join, and I will be right back, and I'm going to show you how to draw BrrrSt. So today I'm just going to go through the pattern in its traditional or most basic form, and I'll show you a couple different varieties that I have done, and then I will link you another video later on today. All right, so we'll give it just a second and I'll get started. Okay, so it looks like I have a couple people. I am going to dive right in here, and I'm going to set these off to the side, and then I'll come back and I'll show you a little bit about the details on that. So with BrrrSt, I think it was about 2016 when I drew this one. So this is a pattern that I created from something that I'd seen in a church window. BrrrSt is drawn on a grid. So you can freeform your grid, or you can put a grid in pencil. I tend to always freeform it. So I'm going to make a couple lines going in one direction. I'll make a couple lines going in the other direction. I can actually fit another one in there because the way I drew that. And then BrrrSt takes up quite a bit of room. So let's see here. I'm going to do it in these 4 squares. So you always go at the X, and you start at one point and you make a curved stroke to another point, and then you make a curved stroke down to the other point, turn your tile, a curved stroke, and then back up. Okay? And if you make your grid more evenly spaced, they're going to be very evenly spaced. If you make your grid kind of wonky, they're going to be a little wonky. So as you can see, this is a great way to, you know, fill up a tile pretty quickly. So you have, and it's basically like a floors type pattern at this point. But then you come in and you do, it's sort of an aura. I usually do it on the inside, although sometimes if you want it to even it out, you can do it on the outside as well. So you've redefined or enhanced those initial curve strokes until they look the way you want them to. And for me, usually it's a combination of some I'm doing inside, some I'm doing outside, till I'm happy with the way that it looks. Okay. So I'll have these diamond shapes. I crisscross them with an X across the T that's already there. And remember, when you have these little partials, you always want to do those details as well. And then I divide each one again because I like it to look kind of like a little starburst. And I'm just dividing up each section. Okay. And you could do it, you know, where you basically do another cross, but I'm really bad about getting lost that way. And I can't remember which ones I've done. So I find that once I've done the cross, it's easier for me to just make that extra little line. Hope everybody's having a good morning. Okay. So now you come in and you add a little, like a little ladybug shape, right? Think crescent moon. And it's kind of about in the middle. And you do it on all of them. And then I'll come back and I'll add a couple auras. And however many auras you want to add is entirely up to you. I just try and keep it pretty consistent. What's really nice about this pattern is that the strokes are really simple and there's not a lot to it, but there's a ton of different pieces to this that you can accent or put variations on, giving you so many different options to do tangulations. Hold on, I see that people are talking to me. Hi, everybody. So what's really cool is that you actually end up with this ring here, and then you have this space as well. So you could use, you know, you could put different play in these diamond shapes, or in your, I always think of them like ribbons that make up your diamond shapes, or you can add variation to your little crescents, and then you can come in and you can also add in mimicking any of those shapes in those little corners. So you have a whole lot of different things to play with there. And then I'm going to quickly show you how I shade this, and then I'll show you my variations. And then I am going to have to scoot for this morning, but I will be back. I promise. I don't want to shortchange this pattern, not just because it's mine. Hee. Although I haven't designed a lot of patterns. Pattern designing isn't my my favorite thing. There's so many out there that have already been broken down and deconstructed and stuff, that isn't something that I really went out of my way to do a lot of. But sometimes you see a pattern and you just have to play with it and figure it out. And this one was nice and different, and I hadn't seen a pattern quite like this before, so. But I do definitely want to spend a little more time with it, so I will make you another video. So I added my graphite on the outside of these diamonds, and I am just smudging them gently with my tortillon. And you can see that you get this depth going on there, right? So I can go back in with my pencil and I can add a little bit of graphite on the inside as well if I want to. Up until now, I had stuck with traditional Zentangle patterns, but I thought that it would be fun to show you mine. This is on Tangle Patterns, if you are over there, which is a great resource for looking at tangles, but it can also be a distraction. I found that for a while I was collecting so many patterns and learning so many patterns that I wasn't actually doing any tangling. So I encourage you that if you do spend time there, set limits for yourself like I do with Pinterest. Be like, okay, I'm going to learn 3 new patterns this week or something like that. There you go. So that's BrrrSt. Before I go, I want to show you a couple of different alternatives, and these are the ones that I will make for the video. So this one is very, very open air. I drew my ribbons, and then instead of doing the starburst, I actually did some rice shapes, and then I mimicked the ribbon. And then I actually continued my little crescent moons all the way in, and that gives it sort of really cool, different dimensional piece to it. And yeah, I could do this in a border, or I could do this in a grid, but it can also stand alone. Here it is as a border. It's simplified just a little bit because when you have that much going on, you don't need all those teeny tiny details. I think that it's a nice, pretty, lacy border. Something fun to do. This is just done at a diagonal, and then I used a boulder pen to kind of emphasize certain parts, and then where I had put in my little diamond, I colored those in black, and then I changed up my shading, so now it looks like these little diamonds are sitting on little pillows. This one, I always think of, I call this in my head, I call this a bunny ear, and all it is I brought in stripes instead of my starburst, and then I continued one of those stripes up into a little flower or bunny type shape. And then I emphasized the, so this dark black is actually my ribbon stripe. Here they are done on a diagonal, long and stretched out. And then this is one of my favorite ways to draw this, and I call this my burst within a burst, or my burstception. So what I did here is I created my bursts, and then in this space right here, this empty space, I used this crossbar to make another burst. So like I said, the options and the variations that you can do with this really are endless. You can do so many different things with it. It's a lot of fun to play with. I encourage you to try it and to come back and watch the video a little later with some other examples. So here is that bunny burst again, only with a little more detailing. So you can see just some of the ideas. I hope this gave you just an idea of what you can do with it, and I hope I will see you later.